Mic check 1 2, it's the Y2K collector, and this video is in response to a video that came out earlier today from Retro Rebound, and he talked about buying a DS in 2024. And because I've actually been playing DS games this year, I started playing some DS games in the first part of the year, paused on them, and I will be returning during the second half. I decided to do a follow-up video to his video because he talked about the different DS consoles that you can purchase, and he went in full detail about battery life and specs and things like that. And I'm not going to do that here. I'm just going to show you the console that I play my DS games on, and that is the DSi. I actually prefer the black DSi. I really enjoy this version of the DS because it is slick. It is or slick, however you say it. It's very clean. Mine needs a little dusting. As you can see, there's some dust there from when I played it recently. But I like this one because it is very sleek, it's slim, it just looks nice, it's very plain, and you honestly wouldn't even know that this was a handheld video game until you like flipped it over or something. It kind of just looks like either like an elaborate calculator or kind of like a two-way pager, if you're old enough to remember two ways. All my old heads out there, let me know if you remember the two-way days. But yeah, so that's what I kind of think of when I look at the DSi, especially the black model. So this is the console that I play my DS games on, and I like this one because they're not super expensive. There was a point where these were very cheap. They were like $25 to $30. I don't know if they're still that cheap, but if you're looking for a console to play your DS games on, just DS, you're not trying to like play 3DS or Game Boy Advance games. If you're just strictly DS, I like this. I recommend this. I think it's one of the better ways to go. With that being said, I'm going to talk about 15 games that I think you'll definitely want to check out for the DS in 2024, because the bulk of these games, you can't really play them on any other platform. At least I don't think so. I have 15 games that I'll go through, and if I say a game that you can play on another platform, please feel free to let me know down in the comments. But I think these are all great games, and these were games that were not mentioned by Retro Rebound. He talked a lot about Pokemon games. Of course, there's the Pokemon games. He talked about some of the Mega Man games. He talked about like Final Fantasy and a lot of like the AAA games that a lot of people know about. While there are going to be some AAA titles in my list, a lot of these games are more niche games that you may or may not have heard about before. So with all that being said, let's get into it. The first game that I would recommend for anyone wanting to get into DS in 2024 is Kirby Superstar Ultra. This is a beautiful, vibrant, and colorful game. And it is a side-scrolling action game. You know, it's kind of like a hack and slash game, where Kirby takes on different powers with the different hats that he wears. And I think they just do a really good job of making Kirby a fun game. If you took away the whole Kirby theme and you just made the main character anyone, you know, just a boy with a t-shirt, this would still be a very fun game just because of the way it plays, the layout, the colors, and the sprite work. So this is definitely one that I would recommend for anyone just thinking about getting into the DS. That's probably my favorite DS Kirby game for sure. Superstar Ultra is top tier to me. Here's one that you may or may not have heard of before, but this is Commando Steel Disaster. So I feel like this is like the love child of like Gunstar Heroes, Metal Slug, and Contra all rolled in one. Like if you took those three run and gun shoot 'em up games and just put them in a blender, this is what you would get. Commando Steel Disaster is a beautiful run and gun shooter game. It has a lot of like the Metal Slug feel to it when it comes to the sprite work. It looks very similar to Metal Slug, but it's just a bit more polished and a bit more refined. Even the machine gun that they have in there looks a lot like the heavy machine gun from Metal Slug. But you know, you can do something a little bit different in this one. I like the fact that you can roll. Rolling isn't an option in Metal Slug, I don't think, or Contra, so you can like roll to dodge attacks and different things like that. You obviously get different weapons, and I think you also can like get into different vehicles and stuff in this one. I never really made it too far in this game. I tend to die quickly in this game, so this is one that I would definitely check out Commando Steel Disaster. However, this is a pricey one, so I'm just gonna give you a heads up. This is a pricey game. I know at one point this was like, they wanted like 300 bucks for this game. I don't think it's that expensive now. Commando Steel Disaster is probably like 150, between 150 and 200 for a complete in-box copy. You can probably get the cartridge only for like 50 to 60 bucks, but if you want it complete, it will be pricey. All right, here's another one, Bango. If you are familiar with the Dreamcast, then you'll be familiar with Bango, which is kind of like an arena style shoot 'em up game where you play as a like a mech. The thing is, like the display on the game, like the vantage point, it's like really zoomed out. So you're like this mech, you're like this tiny mech with all these like different weapons and different attacks that you can kind of unleash on enemies as well as the bosses. Some pretty sick boss battles. If you're like a fan of shoot 'em ups and you're familiar with the Bango from the Dreamcast, I think this is kind of like a great like little brother to that game, and this is a great way to experience, like, it's really unique. Bango is a very unique game. It's like an arena style mech shoot 'em up game. It's really dope. This is one that I would check out if you're into that type of genre. All right, keeping it moving here. So Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Nightmare 3. Now, this game came out on a number of platforms. I'm pretty sure it came out on the GameCube. I think it came out on the PS2. I'm pretty sure it came out on the original Xbox as well. The cool thing about the DS version is instead of it being like a 3D based game, they turned it into a 2D side-scrolling beat 'em up, which is really dope because you get to use different skills in this one. Each character, like Donatello, Raphael, Michelangelo, Leonardo, they all have like their own different attacks. You can do like team attacks in this game. A ton of fun stages to go through. And of course, Konami, right? Konami does this like really well. This is a very fun game. This is a classic example of something that used to happen on the DS where you would have these 3D titles, but somehow when they got to the DS, they went from being 3D to like these 2D beat 'em up style games where the sprite work is amazing. So this is definitely one that I would be out on the look for. This is a fun one. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, I would definitely keep that in the back of your mind. Here's a very rare one that you will not hear many people talk about, but this is Tokyo Beatdown. This is a very different take on a beat 'em up game. This game reminds me of like Kenka Bancho, which is on the PSP. That's one of my favorite, probably my favorite PSP game because it's like a very unique beat 'em up. It's kind of like a Yakuza style beat 'em up. Here with Tokyo Beatdown, I think they were trying to go for the same like Yakuza style beat 'em up. This is like a 3D beat 'em up game. However, the vantage point is kind of like side scrolling. So it's not like with Kenka, it's like 3D, almost kind of open world. This one is more side scrolling. It has beat 'em up and shoot 'em up elements to it. And it is an Atlas game. This is a very unique, fun action game that you may not hear a lot of people talk about, but this is definitely one I recommend you checking out on the DS. A very fun game. Next up, I'm a sucker for run and gun shooters, so of course, you know, Metal Slug 7. This is one that I definitely recommend. If you're a fan of run and gun shooters, I highly recommend Metal Slug 7. I actually found this at a thrift store like a couple years ago for $6. Was really stoked, and not only was it complete, but it also came with the poster. Not a lot of people realize that this one actually came with a Metal Slug poster in it as well, so I actually have the poster for this. Really stoked about that. But this is a cool run and gun, a cool installment into the Metal Slug series, one that I would definitely recommend you looking into if you want some action on your DS. And I feel like, and I'm just showing these games because I think a lot of times when people think of the DS, they think of like kid games like Brain Age and these touchpad games, but there were a lot of really cool action-packed games on the DS. The library was super extensive and super eclectic, so I definitely recommend checking those out. Here we have another one. So this is Ivy the Kiwi on the DS. This one is very unique. What drew me into this game was actually the color art, the color style and the artwork and the sprite work. This is a very pretty game. It does require the stylus though. It's like a kind of like an action platformer, but you got to use the stylus. That's the part that kind of kills me with this one. I've almost traded this one in a bunch of times just because I'm not a fan of the controls, but it is a very pretty game. So this is one that I would recommend if you don't mind stylus action and you are okay with that. This is one that I would recommend. This one is also kind of like an obscure, slightly rare one. You don't really hear a lot of people talking about Ivy the Kiwi. Okay. If you like beat 'em ups, here's another one, Full Metal Alchemist Dual Sympathy. This is a very good looking beat 'em up on the DS, and the DS has a lot of sleeper beat 'em up games. One game that Retro Rebound did mention that I used to have and I sold it and I'm mad, I need to get it back, is Star Wars Episode 3. You would think that that's like a lame game on the DS, but no, it's actually like a really cool beat 'em up. And just the DS is just great for taking these like basic games and turning them into very fun, good looking beat 'em ups. And Full Metal Alchemist is definitely no exception. On the PS2, this is kind of like a 3D, almost like a 3D action RPG game. Here, it's like a beat 'em up game. So definitely, if you're into beat 'em ups, definitely recommend you checking that one out. Of course, I can't have a list without having one space shooter, and I definitely recommend Nano Stray 2. There is a first part to this, obviously, but it is on the DS. I like Nano Stray 2 just because it comes with a couple different vantage points. There are certain levels that are side-scrolling, certain levels that are top-down. It has that whole like 2.5D feel, so it's not like strictly sprite-based, but it's a really cool game nonetheless. And this is definitely one I recommend if you're wanting some variety and you're wanting to add a shoot 'em up to your DS collection. Another run and gun shooter for you, Contra IV. Won't spend too much time on this one, but Contra IV is a cool run and gun shooter in the Contra series. This one doesn't play exactly like Alien Wars, which is kind of what I like. You know, a lot of the Contra games for a while just all felt the same. Like you have the Contra Advanced, which is pretty much Alien Wars on the Advance. You have Alien Wars. This one has a different feel to it. And I do like the fact that both screens, the gameplay takes up both screens. So it's not just like, a lot of times on a DS game, like you'll use one screen for the game and then another screen will be like a menu screen or some type of like tools or equipment screen. With this Contra game, you're using both screens as your playing field. So I think that that was really unique how they did that. And I think it's a cool take on Contra. That's definitely one that I would recommend. Here goes another kind of obscure one, but Aliens Infestation. This is another run and gun shooter. This one is just a really cool take, really cool sprite work. This is a fun one, a really great Sega game, and WayForward is known for their really like just great games. They do a good job with these like sprite-based games, so this is one that I would definitely recommend as well. Here is the game that I spent like the first part of the year playing, and this is Chrono Trigger. It's been said that this is the best way to play Chrono Trigger because it includes, so you have Chrono Trigger on the Super Nintendo, then you have Chrono Trigger on the PlayStation 1, and then you have the Chrono Trigger for the DS. A lot of people feel like the DS is the best way to play it because you get the best of both worlds. You don't have to deal with the loading times that you have to deal with when you play the PlayStation 1 version. So you dodge that, but you still get to take advantage of the cutscenes, I believe, with the DS version. So this is definitely a great way to experience that. I got pretty far in this one. I got to finish that one up. Here's another one. Monster Tale. This is just a very interesting action platformer. I'm surprised that this hasn't made some type of port over to the Switch, but this is beautiful sprite work. I get like Shantae vibes when I play this game. Just very beautiful, chunky sprites. The main character has a number of different weapons and unique skills that she uses to get through the levels. This is a really, really great game. If you're into like platforming, like action beat 'em up style games, this is a very good one. This is a sleeper. Be on the lookout for that. Monster Tale is a good one. This is a recent pickup that I was stoked that I got. So Thor God of Thunder. This is another example of a game that has multiple versions. This game released on the 3DS, the Xbox 360, a number of versions were released of this game, but once it made its way to the DS, it took on this like 2D sprite-based beat 'em up style. Look at that, just beautiful sprite-based artwork. So this is definitely one that I recommend. Check this one out, Thor, a cheap game, but tons of fun. Definitely recommend that one. And last but not least, Princess Peach. So Super Princess Peach is an interesting take. You know, it's different from your typical Mario game. It's obviously a platformer. We all know who Princess Peach is, but this is a very fun one. I think there was a Princess Peach game released on the Switch. I can't remember the name of that one. If you know, let me know down in the comments below. But this is definitely one you gotta play if you get a DS. This is almost like a must-have for the DS, because I don't think this got a release anywhere else. And that does it for me. That's my 15 that I would recommend for 2024. These are a bunch of really cool games that I'm not sure if you'll get to experience anywhere else. Let me know down in the comments if there are any other games that you recommend or if I missed anything, and I'll catch you in the next video. It's the Y2K Collector. Take it easy.